There's a strange moment that happens in the middle of a pretty good day. You're sitting there, maybe it's after work, maybe it's a Friday evening, and everything is technically fine. Your phone is buzzing with notifications, you have food in the fridge, you've got shows queued up, nothing is actively wrong, and yet there's this feeling. It's not quite depression, it's not sadness, it's emptiness. It's like you're standing in a room that's perfectly furnished, perfectly lit, but something fundamental is missing. So here's the question that nobody seems to be asking out loud. Why does modern life, the most comfortable, the most convenient, the most entertaining era in human history, why does it feel so hollow for so many people? That's what we're exploring today. Let me start with something that should make you feel grateful. Your life right now is materially incomparable to almost any person who lived before 1950. I mean this literally. You have access to human knowledge at your fingertips, medical technology that would have seemed like magic 50 years ago, food from around the world, entertainment that used to require you to go places, now it's in your hand, climate control, comfort, safety. Your great-great-grandparents would look at your life and see paradise. And yet, and this is the part that doesn't make sense, more people report feeling empty, anxious, and disconnected than ever before. We have more comfort but less contentment, more connection but more loneliness, more choices but more paralysis. It's a paradox that economists, psychologists, and philosophers are all trying to solve. And the answer isn't what you'd think. The answer isn't that people are ungrateful. It's not that we're broken or that something is wrong with us. The answer is actually much deeper, and it has to do with how humans are wired and what we've lost in the process of gaining all this comfort. Here's something most of us don't really think about. Struggle creates meaning. I don't mean that in a cute motivational poster way. I mean it neurologically, psychologically. Our brains evolved over millions of years to find purpose in overcoming obstacles. When you have a goal and that goal is hard to reach, something activates in you, your entire system orients towards solving the problem, you feel alive. Now think about modern life. Many of us, and I'm speaking to people who have relatively stable lives, many of us have had most of our basic struggles removed. We don't hunt for food, we don't worry about shelter in the way our ancestors did, we don't have to earn social status through physical courage or contribution to a tribe. We have the luxury of security, and yes, that is a luxury. But here's the thing, when the struggle is gone, something else disappears too. The sense of purpose that came from overcoming it. There's this concept in psychology called the hedonic treadmill. You know what that means? It means that humans adapt to comfort incredibly quickly. You get the thing you wanted, the phone, the apartment, the achievement, and for about 2 weeks you feel good. Then it becomes normal, then it becomes invisible, and you're already looking at the next thing. This isn't cynicism, this is how our brains are designed. In an environment of scarcity, this adaptation was survival. It kept us pushing. Now, in an environment of abundance, that same mechanism just leaves us chasing endlessly. So we're caught in this strange situation. We've solved the basic problem of survival, but we haven't solved the problem of meaning. Here's where it gets darker, because we're feeling this emptiness. Our society has created something to fill it, and that something is infinite distraction. Think about what happens when you pick up your phone right now. The algorithm knows what you like. It serves you exactly what will keep you watching, not what's good for you. Not what's important, what will keep you scrolling. In 1950, if you were bored, you had maybe 5 options. Read a book, go to the movies, visit a friend, sit with your thoughts, or sleep. That's it today. You have infinite content, literally at your fingertips, designed by the smartest people in the world to exploit the dopamine systems in your brain. And here's the terrible part. It works, but it never actually satisfies. You know that feeling of watching videos or scrolling for 3 hours and then suddenly looking up and being like, what did I just do? That's not an accident. That's the system working exactly as it's designed to work. It's designed to keep you occupied, not to leave you fulfilled. And this is the cruel paradox. The more we try to fill the emptiness with distraction, the deeper the emptiness becomes. Because distraction is not the opposite of emptiness. Distraction is enabled by emptiness. When you're deeply engaged with something meaningful, when you're working toward a real goal, or connecting genuinely with another person, or creating something, you don't feel empty, you feel present. The emptiness can't exist there, but distraction can coexist with emptiness perfectly. You can feel completely hollow and completely entertained at the same time. In fact, that's the standard modern condition for millions of people. And the platforms know this. They've built empires on it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt part of something larger than yourself? Not in a competitive way, not in a performative way like posting about it on social media, but genuinely part of something shared. There's a reason I'm asking, because one of the biggest things we've lost in modernity is community. And I don't mean friends online. I mean real, local, embodied community. Your grandparents, if they grew up in a small town or a tight neighborhood, they had something we've mostly abandoned. They knew their neighbors, they went to church or community events or the local pub where they saw the same people repeatedly. They had roles, they knew what was expected of them. And here's the thing that sounds bad, but was actually psychologically powerful. They were accountable. There was social pressure, sure, but there was also belonging. There was purpose that came from contributing to a specific community with specific people. Now we live in a world of radical choice and radical isolation. You can literally choose who you interact with. You can curate your entire environment. And that sounds liberating. And in some ways it is, but it's also created this weird emptiness. Because meaning used to come from obligation, from being needed by your actual community, from showing up for people who depended on you. Modern life has given us the illusion of connection while stripping away the actual structures of belonging. You can have thousands of followers and zero people who would show up for you in a crisis. You can be connected 24/7 and profoundly lonely. The technology promised to bring us together, but what it actually did was give us 1,000 shallow connections instead of a few deep ones, and our brains, which evolved to feel purpose through deep community, are starving. There's another layer to this that most people don't talk about, and it's kind of uncomfortable. When your options are unlimited, decision-making becomes paralyzing. This is called the paradox of choice, and it's not just about picking what to watch on Netflix, it's about your entire life. Previous generations had fewer choices, but that actually made things easier in some ways. You grew up in a place, you probably had a few career paths that made sense. You knew roughly what was expected of you. Whether you liked those expectations or not, there was a clear story to follow today. You can be anything. You can go anywhere. You can reinvent yourself constantly, and that's kind of paralyzing. Because with infinite options, there's infinite opportunity for regret. You're constantly wondering, am I on the right path? Should I be doing something else? Should I be in a different place, with different people, working toward a different goal? Every choice you make is implicitly a rejection of 1,000 other choices. So you're left in this state of perpetual second-guessing, and that's exhausting. And that exhaustion, mixed with a lack of clear meaning, creates this baseline feeling of emptiness. You can't rest into your life when you feel like you should constantly be optimizing it. Here's something that's changed in just the last decade. The speed at which everything happens. In 2000, if you wanted to achieve something, it took time. Building something took time. Developing skill took time. You were expected to spend years on something before you saw results. Now, everything is instant, viral, or it fails completely. There's no middle ground. Your feed updates every second. News cycles turn over in hours. Everyone around you is constantly hustling, optimizing, posting their wins, and if you're not moving that fast, you feel left behind. But here's the psychological cost. Meaning takes time. Deep meaning, the kind that actually fills that emptiness. It requires sustained focus. It requires you to commit to something and develop it over years. And modern life almost aggressively prevents that. You're incentivized to always be looking for the next thing, the next opportunity, the next trend, the next self-improvement hack. You're never supposed to just settle into something. There's this concept of flow state in psychology. It's when you're so deeply engaged in what you're doing that you lose track of time. You're not thinking about yourself. You're not checking your phone. You're just present. That's actually one of the primary sources of happiness and meaning in human life and modern life. With its constant notifications, its pressure to always be moving, always optimizing, it makes flow state harder and harder to access. You're fragmented. Your attention is fragmented, and fragmented attention means fragmented meaning. Okay, so I've spent the last 20 minutes explaining why modern life feels empty, and you might be sitting here thinking, great, so what do? I can't go back in time. I can't uninvent the internet. I can't recreate a small town community in a city of 8 million people. And you're right, you can't, but understanding the why is actually the first step toward fixing it. Because here's what I've learned from talking to people who actually feel fulfilled in modern life. They've done something radical. They've decided to opt out of some parts of the system, not completely, not in a way that's unsustainable, but consciously. They've limited their choices in order to create clarity. They've committed to something long-term, even though it might not be the optimal choice. They've built deep relationships instead of accumulating followers. They've done hard things because the difficulty is actually what gave it meaning. They've essentially created little pockets of the old world inside the new world. One person I talked to quit social media completely and spent that time writing for 3 years. Nobody read what they wrote. It didn't go viral, but the act of creating something consistently over time gave their life a sense of purpose that scrolling never did. Another person left a high-paying job to move back to their hometown and start a local business. It pays less, but they have community again. They have relationships with their customers. They have a role in something real. A third person set aside 2 hours every evening to just not be productive. No phone, no content, no optimization. Just presence, just thinking, just being, and weirdly, that emptiness started to fill. So here's the thing I want to leave you with. The emptiness you feel, if you feel it, it's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's not a personal failure. It's actually a sign that you're human, that you have real needs that modern life is not meeting. The need for struggle that builds character, the need for deep community, the need for meaning that comes from contributing to something larger than yourself, the need for sustained focus and flow. These are not luxuries, these are not nice to haves, these are fundamental human needs, and modern society, for all its benefits, and there are many, has systematically stripped away the structures that used to fulfill those needs. But here's the hope: knowing that is half the battle. Because once you understand that the emptiness isn't random, that it's not your fault, you can start to make different choices. You can decide that you're not going to optimize every moment of your life. You can choose to commit to something even if it's not the best choice. You can choose to build real relationships instead of accumulating followers. You can choose to do hard things because the difficulty is what makes them meaningful. You can choose to create pockets of purpose in a world that doesn't always make that easy. The emptiness might be a symptom of our time, but the antidote, meaning purpose, genuine connection, sustained effort, that's timeless, and it's always been available to anyone willing to pursue it. You just have to decide that you're going to. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing, and more importantly, consider what meaningful thing you're going to commit to this week. See you next time.